From a family that couldn't afford the sport to Brazil's first proper Formula One hope since Senna, Gabriel Bortoleto has come further, faster than anyone had a right to expect. But how good is he really? Let's find out. Gabriel Lorenzo Bortoleto Oliveira was born on the 14th of October 2004 in Osasco, a hard-working slice of the greater São Paulo sprawl. Italian mother, hence the surname the whole world now knows, businessman father, Lincoln Oliveira, and an older brother, Enzo, 6 years ahead of him. Keep Enzo in mind, he matters more than you'd think. Here's the bit that gets glossed over. This wasn't a rich kid handed a career. When Gabriel started karting at 6, the family simply couldn't afford it. Lincoln had just started a small telecoms company, and small is doing a lot of lifting in that sentence. That small telecoms company was called Americanet, founded in 1996. It didn't stay small. It became one of the largest internet providers in Brazil, and in 2023 it merged with Vero into a group turning over about 1.9 billion reals, roughly $380 million. But the wealth came after the ambition, not before it. Gabriel started racing at 6 at the Aldeia da Serra Kartódromo in São Paulo, also running at Granja Viana and Interlagos, following his big brother Enzo. By 2012, aged 7, Gabriel was winning the Open do Brasileiro in Mirim and finishing runner-up in the Paulista and Brazilian championships. 7 years old, already collecting silverware. The junior titles kept coming. Cadet class in 2014, runner-up in Superkart Brazil, another Open do Brasileiro, 3rd in the Brazilian Championship. And this is where Enzo enters the story properly. The family had enough money to fund one serious racing career, not two. So Enzo, who'd raced up to the age of 16, stepped aside. They were putting all their chips on one number, as he later put it. And it was Enzo himself who told their dad the truth. With the pound sitting at 7 reals and Enzo racing over in England, Gabriel is going better than me. It doesn't make sense to keep both of us going.
It's Bortoleto. He turns in and just launches himself over the front of another car, cartwheels his way into the gravel, ends up upside down from another angle. There he is, he's airborne as he comes into shot, but having ridden over the wheel.
Around 2016, when Gabriel was 11, the family rolled the dice completely and sent him to Italy, Lake Garda, chasing a serious European karting career against the best kids on the planet. His parents stayed behind in Brazil for work, so an 11-year-old boy went to live in a foreign country, cared for by Francesco de Mauro, father of stock car driver Gaetano de Mauro, who became his driving coach. It was very hard for the family, but it worked. By 2017, he was a CRG factory-supported driver in OK Junior, 7th in the World Championship, 8th in the Europeans. And take note of one of his rivals in that era, a certain Andrea Kimi Antonelli. 2018 was his strongest karting year by a mile. 3rd in both the European and World Championships, vice-champion in the WSK Supermaster Series, 2nd in the Andrea Margutti Trophy. Formula Scout named him among the top karting stars of the year. 2019, his final karting season, he moved up to Senior OK with more modest returns. 7th in WSK Supermaster, 13th in the Europeans. Then, late that year, came the announcement that closed the chapter. He signed with Prema to take part in the European F4. He was done with karts and was ready to move to cars. Now, if you're expecting the Antonelli story, Wonder Kid moves to cars, immediately batters everyone, I've got to be straight with you. That's not how this goes. And I think that makes it better. Gabriel debuted in the 2020 Italian F4 Championship with Prema against a stacked rookie crop. Sebastian Montoya, Gabriele Mini, Dino Boganovic. His first podium weekend was at Mugello, a second and 2 more podiums at Monza, 5th overall on 157 points. Ahead of Montoya, behind champion Mini, and behind Boganovic, not the crushing domination headline talents usually serve up in F4. Then 2021, and the first real gut check.
My mental I was much more relaxed this season. Rookie season, I was not expecting. There was no pressure on me. Like, you need to win, you need to finish top 3. No.
Formula Regional European, FRECA, with FA Racing. And yes, that FA, the Fernando Alonso branded entry, run by MP Motorsport. Still, it was, to put it kindly, a learning-heavy year. 9th on debut at Imola, then several rounds with nothing. 1 podium all season, race 2 at the Red Bull Ring. 15th in the standings on 44 points. But here's what separates the ones who make it. In 2022, he came back, won a race in Formula Regional Asian, then a full FRECA season with R-Race GP. Wins at Spa and Barcelona, despite the engine repeatedly letting him down. 6th overall on 176 points. Better. Still not a title though. And then, the moment that changed everything. September 2022, he signed with A14 Management, Fernando Alonso's driver management company. A 2-time world champion looked at a Brazilian kid with a decent but not spectacular junior record and decided to take him on personally. Within weeks, he tested for Trident in the F3 postseason and been announced as their first driver for 2023. His F3 rookie season in 2023 was, and I don't use this word lightly, a masterclass. Not in raw pace, in consistency. Bahrain, penalised for contact in race 1, bounced back to win the feature. Melbourne, pole, lights to flag win, a 20-point lead after 4 races. And then, this is the insane bit, he didn't win again all year, not once. But the podiums kept coming. His only non-score was Spa, where Beganovic wiped him out. He arrived at Monza with a 38-point lead and only 39 on the table. Paul Aron and Pepe Marti both failed to grab pole in a red flag shortened qualifying, and Bortoleto became champion on the Friday. 2 wins, 1 pole, 3 fastest laps, 6 podiums, 164 points, the Aramco Best Rookie Award. This was Trident's first ever F3 title, and the first for a South American. He credited Alonso for keeping him calm through that winless run. Apparently, a well-timed WhatsApp message did the trick.
The thing of Fernando is that, first, we have a very good relationship. We don't talk every day, we don't talk every week, but every time I need him, like to give me an advice, I can easily take my phone here now and text him. Winning my first race, for sure you start to put a little bit of pressure on yourself because you want to keep still doing the same results. And he was the guy that was telling me, don't put pressure on yourself, keep calm, do your best that you can do.
That same October, McLaren signed him to their driver development program. Gabriel jumped to F2 with Invicta Racing, alongside Alpine junior Kush Maini. However, it didn't start clean. Promoted to pole in Bahrain after Maini's disqualification, points in both races, though he did spin Isak Hadjar at the feature start. Then a rough patch. Drive shaft failure in Jeddah, pitched into the wall by Pepe Marti in Melbourne, hydraulic failure in the feature. But Monza was something special. He spun in qualifying and started both races 22nd, dead last. In the sprint, he carved up to 8th, sharing the final point in a dead heat with Dennis Hauger. Then in the feature, from last on the grid, he won. The first driver in the history of Formula 2 to do it. Winning from last in a spec series is nearly impossible. He took the points lead in Baku. A pit entry penalty in Qatar left him half a point ahead of Hadjar heading into Abu Dhabi, the closest title fight in F2 history at that stage. But in the feature in Abu Dhabi, Hadjar stalled off the line. Bortoleto seized the lead and brought it home second behind Joshua Dirksen. Champion by 22.5 points. 2 wins, 2 poles, 214.5 points. FIA Rookie of the Year, the Antoine Hubert Award, and the team's title for Invicta. Now here's the stat that should make you sit up. Only 4 drivers in the F2 era have won F3 and F2 back-to-back. Leclerc, Russell, Piastri, Bortoleto. That's impressive by my standards. You know what else would be impressive? you hitting subscribe. Go on, it's free and it makes my day. But you can win anything you want. That still doesn't guarantee you a place in F1. Gabriel joined McLaren's development program in 2023, which sounds great until you remember McLaren had Norris and Piastri locked into long-term deals. The opportunity was elsewhere. Sauber, about to become the Audi Works team in 2026, had signed Hülkenberg in April and needed a second driver. And the endorsements started flying in. Sauber's own Mattia Binotto flagged him as a contender. Max Verstappen said if he were Sauber, he'd have signed him already. Piastri backed him publicly too. McLaren boss Andrea Stella did the classy thing and agreed to a clean release. And in a detail I absolutely adore, Alonso was reportedly spotted lurking in the Sauber motorhome at Spa, personally negotiating on his protégé's behalf. On the 6th of November 2024, Sauber confirmed it. Multi-year deal from 2025, replacing Bottas and Zhou. Binotto called it a no-brainer.
I quickly just went there to say hello to the boss, of course, Giancarlo, and then I saw a very tiny Brazilian rocking up, asking for a picture.
His debut in Australia was encouraging. Q2 in qualifying, and crucially, he outqualified the vastly more experienced Hülkenberg. Then the wet race bit him and he crashed out. Rookie mistake, but the pace was there. What followed was grim, and none of it was his fault. The C45 was a shocker. 14th in China, 19th in Japan. In Monaco, a first-lap clash with Kimi Antonelli dropped him to last, and afterwards a radio clip leaked in which he said he'd put him in the wall next time. Bortoleto insisted it was out of context. They cleared the air before Spain. And at that very Spanish Grand Prix, everything changed. Sauber brought a new floor that lifted the car into the actual midfield, and with a car under him, Bortoleto took off. In Austria, he qualified 8th, and in the closing laps, he was wheel to wheel with his own manager, Fernando Alonso. Alonso narrowly kept him behind for 7th, and afterwards said simply that he'd been outstanding this year. By the way, that result made him the first Brazilian to score an F1 point since Massa in 2017. The rest was rollercoaster stuff. He crashed out of the wet British Grand Prix, gambling on slicks on the formation lap, and his best weekend came in Hungary. Qualified 7th, finished 6th, holding off Stroll the whole way, having stayed at the track past curfew on Friday, grinding through data with his engineers. Team boss Jonathan Wheatley called him a future star. But São Paulo was an absolute nightmare. His race in front of his people turned into a horror show. Battling Albon for 10th in the sprint, he lost the car on a damp patch, and sensors recorded him hitting the wall at 339 km per hour, 34G on the first impact, 57G on the second. Sauber couldn't repair the car for qualifying, so at his home race, he started dead last. And on the first lap, Stroll tapped him into the barriers. He ended 2025 19th in the championship on 19 points. On paper, that looks modest. But he outqualified Hülkenberg 12-11 across the season. Hülkenberg outscored him 49-19, but a huge chunk of that was one freak maiden podium at Silverstone. And Sauber finished 9th in the Constructors, their best haul since 2012. Still, Alonso called him the best rookie of his generation. And Hülkenberg, the man he'd just spent a year out qualifying, said Bortoleto had everything you need to become a great driver, and admitted there were many points in the year where he'd learned from the kid. So, Audi saw enough. They kept him.
Summer break is... It feels good, and yeah, we were a lot faster than the Sauber, and you know.
Audi came in as a full works manufacturer, the only team running its engine, so no customer data to lean on. Binotto as COO and CTO, CEO Gernot Dollner running a 5-year plan aimed at titles by 2030. So this is a transitional year by design. Judge it accordingly. The Audi debut in Australia on the 8th of March was a genuine success. Bortoleto started 10th and finished 9th to score Audi's first ever Formula 1 points, 2 of them, while Hülkenberg was withdrawn before the start after his car lost telemetry on the way to the grid. He didn't start in China due to a car issue, though he was in good company with Norris, Piastri and Albon also failing to get away. One bit of drama at the Miami sprint got him as he crossed the line and was disqualified. The pressure in his air intake had exceeded the 4.8 bar limit. Audi said it happened over a single lap when temperatures rose higher than expected, but the rules say the car must comply at all times.
But it cost him nothing because 11th scored no points anyway. Hülkenberg had it worse that day. His car caught fire on the way to the grid.
As of the Austrian round, Bortoleto sits around 14th in the standings on 6 points, grinding through Audi's rebuild year. So how good is Gabriel Bortoleto? Better than his results suggest, and better than he was last year, which is the whole point of him. He's a builder, not a prodigy. I don't think he's not the next Senna. Not yet. Not with no podium and a transitional Audi. But then when that Audi comes good around 2028, Bortoleto wins Grand Prix. I'd bet on it. That raises a fair question. How many world champions does this rookie generation, Bortoleto, Antonelli, Hadjar, Biermann, produce between them? I'll say at least 2. Let me know who of them will make it to a world championship and subscribe.